Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is Mission Impossible. All movies recap before Dead Reckoning Part 1. Mission Impossible stars super secret agent Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise. His boss Jim gets their next spy assignment, your mission if you choose to accept it. Someone's trying to steal the knock list, which has all the identities of the undercover agents around the world. This message will self-destruct. So Tom Cruise goes undercover at a fancy party. They've got these hyper-realistic masks, and they find the guy who's stealing the list, but then something goes wrong. Jim's like, abort! The mission's compromised! What? Oh, he's shot! No, Jim! They took out the rest of the team too, and the floppy disk is gone. Ethan escapes though and meets with his other boss, who's like, hey, don't worry, that disk was a fake. This whole operation was a mole hunt, because we knew one of our agents was the one trying to steal the disk, and since you're the one that survived, we think it was you. Ethan's like, no, I'm innocent. I'm gonna have to go rogue to clear my name. So he grabs his explosive gum, throws it on the aquarium, boom, and busts out of there. His plan is to track down the arms dealer Max that bought the disc. He's like, look, we were both set up. That list is a fake. She's like, okay, if you steal me the real list, I'll pay you the money I was gonna pay the mole and tell you who the real mole was. Then he's found by dead Jim's hot wife, who he thought died back on the mission. He doesn't trust her at first, so they get frisky. They decide to work together and recruit some other disavowed agents, including Computer Master Luther. But the knock list is held in CIA headquarters in this super secure room where, like, if anything even touches the floor, all the alarms go off. Luther's like, yo man, this mission is going to be very difficult. Not difficult. Impossible. So Ethan crawls through the vents, and this is the famous scene where he comes in on the wires. But this guy up there's got the hard job. A rat comes by and he sneezes, so he drops him. Oh, and he falls. Oh, catches him just there. Famous cinematic scene. Long story short, they successfully steal the list. But then dead Jim shows up. He's like, hey man, I survived. By the way, you didn't bang my wife, did you? Nope. So they go on a train to give the list to Max. Jim's in the baggage cart, and his wife comes in like, hey, isn't it funny how we're setting up Ethan? Ha ha ha. Oh, snap, it's me. Ethan had figured it out earlier that Jim was the mole, so Jim shows up, good job, but now I'm gonna shoot you. Oh, let me just put on my glasses that I'm broadcasting to the rest of the agency so they know you're the guy now. So Jim goes to escape on the helicopter, but Ethan climbs up there and he manages to lock it to the train, and they're going into a tunnel, so he's gotta fly down helicopter into the tunnel. Ethan jumps on there, takes his explosive gum, boom, exploded. The good guys recover the list, and the day is saved. Next up, it's Mission Impossible 2. Tom Cruise has grown out a beautiful mane of hair. He's escorting some scientist carrying a dangerous disease, but turns out it's not Tom Cruise. Oh, it's the bad guy. They steal the disease and bust him out of there, crash the plane. The real Ethan Hunt is just hanging around. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, track down that disease called Chimera. This message will self-destruct. First, he's got to recruit this super hot thief lady. They end up slow motion gazing into each other's eyes and bang, but they don't want her for her thief skills. Turns out she used to date the bad guy, so they send her undercover like they're getting back together. Bad guy's best friend doesn't trust her, but bad guy's like, yo, hoes before bros, and he cuts the tip of his pinky off. So he's super in love with her, and she manages to steal the disc that talks about Chimera, so the virus is being held at the top of the super secure building. Ethan's like, yo, we gotta steal it before the bad guy does. Luther's like, yo man, this mission's gonna be very difficult. Not just difficult, impossible. So he jumps off the helicopter, ropes his way down into the building. He starts destroying the virus, but then the bad guys show up. They have a huge slow motion shootout because the Matrix had just come out. But the bad guy knows the girl is playing him because she put the disc back in the wrong pocket earlier, so he sends her out to get the virus, but she injects herself with it, and no one really knows what to do about this, so Ethan jumps out the building and they capture her. They're gonna sell the virus to the pharmaceutical company, unleash it on the world, control the virus and the cure, make a lot of money, standard. But Ethan's there to stop it. He fights with the bad guy's best bro, but he loses, the guy captures him, and the bad guy, instead of monologuing, just shoots him, boom! But what's this band-aid on your pinky finger? Oh, it's a mask! He shot his best friend, and Ethan's out of there with the virus. They have another slow-mo cartwheel shootout, then Ethan ends up on a motorcycle, and he and the bad guy have a hilarious motorcycle joust. And long story short, Ethan wins and proves that he has incredible hair. They give the cure to the thief girl, and she and Ethan make out at what looks like a kid's birthday party, and they live happily ever after. Until Mission Impossible 3, where he's engaged to a completely different chick. He's back to short hair Cruise, and his cover is that he works at the DMV, which is sufficiently boring, no one asks any follow-up questions. But one day, his best friend shows up like, hey man, we need you back in the field. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to rescue this agent of ours that got captured by an arms dealer, Philip Seymour Hoffman. This message will self-destruct. So he busts in there and rescues her, and they have a helicopter firecracker chase, but then she's like, oh, I got a headache. What? They implanted a mini bomb inside her brain, so they're gonna defibrillate her to turn it off, but oh, they're too late. Brain explosion. Now Simon Pegg is the new tech guy, Benji, and he tracks down that Philip Seymour Hoffman's gonna be at a fancy party at the Vatican. So Ethan sneaks in using his signature move, and you gotta have a sexy girl on your team with a fancy car to sneak in and spill some wine on him. So when he goes to the bathroom, Ethan's there. He's wearing the hyper-realistic mask, replaces him. They go out together, sneak out through the sewers, blow up the car, and they capture the bad guy. Just then, Ethan gets an email from the dead agent he rescued earlier. Turns out their boss, Lawrence Fishburne, is working with the bad guy. Sure enough, boom, convoy is attacked, and the bad guy is rescued. Like 30 seconds later, he's already kidnapped Ethan's wife, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna kill her unless you steal from me the mysterious super weapon Rabbit's Foot. He meets up with his team in Hong Kong. The Rabbit Foot's being held in a super secure building. Ethan's like, I think I can make that jump. Luther's like, yo, Ethan, this mission's gonna be very difficult. Not just difficult, impossible. So he jumps off another building. Long story short, it goes okay. He gets the rabbit's foot. He brings it to the bad guy, but he's like, hey, give me the real rabbit's foot or I shoot your wife. It's like, what? No, that was the real rabbit's foot. Blam! Oh, he shot his wife! Turns out it was his best friend working with the bad guy, not Lawrence Fishburne. And also turns out it wasn't really his wife. They were just testing him to make sure it was the real rabbit's foot. So he busts out of there, tracks down his real wife, but just when he gets there, oh, terrible headache from a bomb in my brain. Philip Seymour Hoffman beats him up a bit, but then he tackles him onto the street and, oh, hit by a truck. Whoa. He's like, yo, baby, I got a bomb in my brain. You gotta shock me to disarm it. She's like, well, okay, boom, and it works. She's like, you don't really work for the DMV, do you? And they live happily ever after. Until Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Ethan Hunt is in a Russian prison and he has glorious long hair again. Benji helps break him out and turns out he was in prison because some Serbians killed his wife and he went on a murder rampage. Anyway, your mission, should you choose to accept it, this assassin chick stole some Russian nuclear launch codes and she's gonna sell them to a guy named Cobalt, so you need to break into the Kremlin and discover Cobalt's identity. This message will self-destruct. So he sneaks into the Kremlin. They've got this cool tent thing that projects the hallway behind it. Whoa. But the information on Cobalt is already deleted because Cobalt's there right now stealing a nuclear briefcase and he talks over the radio alerting the guards to Tom Cruise's presence and boom, he blows up the Kremlin. Ethan meets up with his new boss who's got Hawkeye as an assistant. He's like, yo, since everyone thinks you blew up the Kremlin, the president's invoked Ghost Protocol. The entire IMF disavowed. So Ethan and Hawkeye meet up with their team and he's like, yo, we got no backup. We gotta stop nuclear war and clear our names. They know Assassin Chick is gonna hand over the codes in Dubai, so their plan is to switch the rooms and use masks to impersonate buyer and seller. The first problem is that Benji can't hack the server room from here, so Ethan's got a Spider-Man up the walls of the building, bust into the server room. His sticky glove breaks though, so he gets to jump off another building. Their second problem is the mask machine breaks, so they have to roll up no masks and just hope that these two have never met before. The third problem is that they brought a code expert, so instead of giving them fake codes, they have to use Hawkeye's crazy contact lens to give them the real codes. But at the end, she sees Hawkeye's contact lens, so their cover is blown. She and the good agent have a girl fight, and then Assassin Chick's kicked out the window. Ethan's chasing down Cobalt to get the codes back, but there's a sandstorm coming, so they have a very dangerous chase through Dubai, and he, boom, crashes the car. Somehow Cobalt walks away from it though, and he manages to escape. Now all he needs to launch a nuke is access to a satellite. So they go to a fancy party in India where the girl agent has to seduce the rich tech guy to get the satellite access codes. Hawkeye jumps off the thing and uses his magnet suit to float down through the server room, put it in. But they're too late. The bad guy is already hacked in and boom, launches a nuke. They can still abort it if they get the briefcase, so they have a fight in the car vending machine. But bad guy's like, no, I want nuclear devastation so much, I'm willing to sacrifice myself for it. But the missile's really close now, so Ethan has to jump in a car and drive off the thing. Crash. He hits abort just in time, and the day is saved. Luther makes a cameo at the end where he says, yo, Ethan, that mission you pulled off was very difficult. This guy's not getting it, is he? Now, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Tom Cruise has decided to rock the long hair 2 movies in a row. He's out there doing super spy stuff. One day, his mission, should he choose to accept it, is to track down the secret crime organization, the Syndicate. Haha, just kidding. We're the Syndicate. We already hacked you. This guy with the glasses is the leader, and the message self-destructs with some sleeping gas. They're gonna torture him for information, but this hot British chick shows that she's on his side, so Tom Cruise shows that at 50 years old, he's still in the best shape of his life. So she helps him escape. She's British intelligence. She's gonna stay here to keep her cover. Tom Cruise calls Hawkeye, hey, I found the syndicate, but he can't do anything because Alec Baldwin, director of the CIA, has just absorbed the IMF. He doesn't believe the syndicate exists. He thinks Tom Cruise is the bad guy. So once again, Ethan has to go rogue to clear his name. He sends Benji some tickets to the opera where he thinks they're going to assassinate the Austrian chancellor. He finds the assassin with the sniper rifle clarinet. He beats him up, but there's another shooter in the sound booth, and there's another shooter down there. It's the hot British chick. The only way to save the chancellor is to shoot him in the arm so the other two miss. He grabs the British chick. He still trusts her, so they get out of there together, but the chancellor's car explodes. The syndicate was really on top of this. She's like, hey, come find me later. For now, I'm going to roll out of here to maintain my cover. So they track her down at her gorgeous pool house, and she's like, look, there's a file that has all the information needed to bring down the syndicate. Only problem, stealing it will be impossible. Oh, hey, this chick gets it. Besides all the normal security, they've got a gate analysis hallway, which you just can't fake. So they have to go down into the server room and replace the security credentials with another. No scuba tanks allowed, so Tom Cruise has to hold his breath for a very long time. But someone turns on the thing, so he's getting all blown around in there. Finally, he manages to get the right disc in just in time for Benji to walk through. Ethan almost drowns, but the girl saves him. But when Benji comes with a disc, she blasts him and runs off with it. So she's running away. Ethan and Benji are chasing her, and a bunch of bad guys on motorcycles chasing them. It ends with a big car thing off the thing, flippy flip flop. So the girl gets away, brings the disc to her boss, but he's like, hey, I need you to stay undercover more. So she brings it back to the syndicate, but hey, the disc is empty. Turns out her boss is also a bad guy and erased the disc. Luckily, they made a copy, but the only one who can unlock it is the Prime Minister of England. And the girl is sent to tell Ethan that they've kidnapped Benji, and if he wants him back, they've got to get the disc unlocked and bring it to him. Luther's like, yo, Ethan, this mission is going to be very difficult. So Alec Baldwin goes to warn the Prime Minister, who reveals that the syndicate was a British plan that they scrapped, but this guy went ahead with it anyway, but then Lane took it away from him, so now he's trying to cover his tracks. So this guy shoots the Prime Minister with a trank, and oh, mask time, it's Ethan Hunt! When the real guy comes, they shoot him with truth serum. He confesses to everything, so Alec Baldwin knows that Tom Cruise is a good guy now. They get the Prime Minister to unlock the disc, which has access codes to billions of dollars the syndicate could use. Ethan goes to make the exchange, but Benji's got a bomb strapped to him, and Ethan's like, yo, you want your money? I destroyed the disc and memorized the whole thing, so you need to keep me alive. Lane's like, fine, and he disarms the bomb, and so Ethan and the girl get to shoot their way out of there. Ethan leads Lane on a chase down into the tunnel, but oh, what's this? They set a trap for him. I'm in a glass cage of emotion. So Ethan's name is cleared, the IMF is reinstated, and the day is saved. Until Mission Impossible Fallout. So Ethan Hunt captured Solomon Lane, but his organization is still going. They're calling themselves the Apostles. They're selling plutonium to a new rogue agent codenamed John Lark, who wants to blow up the world. So your mission, if you choose to accept it, stop that from happening. This message will self-destruct. So Ethan's team goes to get the plutonium, but oh, the Apostles are one step ahead and get out of there. And oh, nuclear devastation across the globe. The one guy they captured's like, yeah, since we already won, I'll unlock my phone for you. But oh, the whole thing was a fake out. So now they know an arms dealer, the White Widow, is brokering the plutonium deal between the Apostles and John Lark. And this time Ethan's superhero sidekick is not Hawkeye, but Superman. Yes, mustachioed Henry Cavill. They're gonna airdrop into Paris, but don't know it's a thunderstorm, and Henry Cavill gets hit. So intense skydiving scene as Ethan manages to save him just in time. At the French rave, they follow John Lark into the men's room, but turns out this guy is a kung fu master, and it's an epic bathroom brawl where this dude somehow beats up both of them. In the end, they're saved by Ethan's English girlfriend, Agent Ilsa Faust. Unfortunately, she shot him in the face, so they can't make a mask. So once again, Ethan is rolling up maskless. Luckily, no one knows what John Lark looks like. So he meets with the White Widow, who turns out is the daughter of Max, the arms dealer from Mission Impossible 1. But turns out John Lark wasn't buying the plutonium for money, he was doing it for a service, breaking out the Apostles' leader, Solomon Lane. To maintain his cover and get the plutonium, Ethan would have to kill a bunch of innocent cops. So he surprise changes the plan, knocks Solomon Lane into the water, then dumps out all of the White Widow's guys. While Benji and Luther go grab Lane, it's an epic motorcycle chase through Paris, but in the end, Ethan escapes. But now Alec Baldwin's here to shut this mission down. The CIA thinks that Ethan Hunt is the real John Lark, even though 5 times in a row he's proven he's the good guy. So once again, Ethan has to go rogue to prove his innocence. They leave Henry Cavill here to guard the real Lane, but immediately he's setting Lane free. Henry Cavill is the real John Lark. He explicitly confesses to all his crimes before he realizes, yes, it was a mask. Bad guys just keep falling for that. But he has a backup plan. They're surrounded by a bunch of his goons at the big shootout. And as he escapes, he stabs Alec Baldwin. No! Ethan's running after him, and I mean just a ton of running, like Tom Cruise getting his steps in. And at the end, he's living his dream, gets to leap off another building. Ethan finally catches up to him, but Locke pulls out a trump card. He has Ethan's wife, Julia, from Mission Impossible 3. So Locke gets away with the plutonium. Now the team has to go stop the bombs, but he's not targeting major cities. He's gonna blow up a glacier, contaminating the fresh water for all of Asia. He's hidden the bombs at a medical camp, and it's here Ethan's reunited with Doctors Without Borders, his wife, Julia. Yeah, she wasn't killed by Serbians. That was the cover. She and Ethan still loved each other, but they faked her death so she could live a normal life. They find one bomb, but you have to disarm both at the same time, and simultaneously pull the pin on the detonator, which Henry Cavill has just flown off with on a helicopter. Yo, Ethan, this mission is straight up impossible. Not impossible, just pretty difficult. So Ethan manages to leap onto another helicopter just as it lifts off. He climbs up there, hijacks this thing, then they have an insane helicopter chase through the mountains. Henry Cavill, blah, 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 wow! Eventually, Ethan manages to ram him. Oh, helicopter crash! Meanwhile, Ilsa and Benji find Solomon Lane, who has the other bomb. They have a fight, and they win. They're both ready to cut the wires, but there's no way of knowing if Ethan got the detonator yet. And as the countdown reaches 1, they gotta snip. And yes, Ethan got it just in time. So once again, Ethan Hunt has cleared his name, and the world is saved. Until Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. If you liked this recap, hit that subscribe button for more of the best recaps of TV and movies.